back again. Going straight into
Yes, do it before I
your
start
favourite.
falling asleep.
Well, you'll have a lot of lines this time, so hopefully I'll be the one falling asleep.
That's right. We discovered that this was like way before the conference. Well, not way.
It was like a year or so. Yeah.
So that theory of Kinzo being dead is like really being explored in this chapter then, or episode.
Yeah, they confirmed it in red in the Tea Party of episode 4. So now they.
Oh, sorry, Tom. Oh, I squished it. I'm sorry, Tom. Oh, poor Tom.
Explaining what happened, or explaining the details behind that, I guess.
I pulled her fur by accident by stepping on it.
That's probably Lee's fur. Yeah, she deserves it after what she did to me last night.
Was that recorded? No, that was before we recorded.
I picked her up. We had a nice little cuddle. She seemed to be enjoying it. I put her down nicely. And then she just lunges and bites my leg after I've walked away for 10 seconds.
She ran at you from the other room.
Yeah. It's because she can see, because I got curtains up separating the rooms. And when she sees my legs under the curtains, she makes her want to pounce. So her instincts take over. And she injures me. The rose garden was truly splendid this year. The roses were blooming like crazy, as if competing with each other. In that rose garden, Kinzo, Kanon, and Natsuhi could be seen. Once again, the flowers have grown wonderfully this year. It must be the result of your care. Thank you very much. The weather just happened to be good this year.
Thanks to your care, the garden is even more beautiful than usual. Good work.
Thank you very much. If today weren't so special, we might have been able to admire the roses while enjoying some black tea. Kinzo shrugged. Today was the family conference. When it came to the other siblings' businesses, none of the news had been good. On the contrary, those siblings probably planned to turn the conversation to the topic of Kinzo's remaining life, and hold a quiet feud over the inheritance. Those people are quite unpleasant. By the way, what about Kraus? Is that debt repayment plan of his proceeding well?
It does seem to be a realistic plan. However, it's a plan on quite a large scale, and it doesn't seem to be bearing fruit quite as well as he expected.
If possible, I would have hoped to have that resolved before today's family conference.
What is this, 2 years later?
Probably 1 year later. Or maybe a few months.
Yes, my apologies. Beatrice?
Maybe? Or Kanon? Just go... It's Beatrice, try it.
Are you sure you're okay, Kinzo? Walking around in a place like that? Oh, yeah.
How had she gotten up there? Well, it's fairly pointless to wonder about that sort of thing when you're dealing with a witch, Natsuhi thought. Probably. Beatrice was casually sitting on the roof of the arbor, almost as though she had been basking in the sun.
Those relatives are like a massive lump of the magic-resisting toxin, and they'll be intruding in on us. If you bump into them, your soul will evaporate in an instant.
I am already dead. Evaporating would be no detriment.
We can't have that happen. Please, for the sake of the Ushiromio family, lend us your strength just a little longer. Natsuhi, it seems the boat carrying the relatives has left the harbour. Perhaps it's about time to bring an end to this walk of yours. Is that so? Thank you. Please return to the study, Father.
My. How tiresome to go back inside when the weather is perfect.
Don't grumble, Kinzo. Right now, you're nothing more than a ghost I gave life to. It'll be troublesome for both me and Natsuhi if you're scattered away by the toxin. Just be a good boy, shut yourself away in the study, and wrap a blanket around yourself or something.
Merely receiving the chance to enjoy these roses after death makes me an extremely fortunate man. I understand. I shall return to the study. But I would like some black tea. Canon, tell Genji to bring me some. Perhaps some Marco Polo would do well today.
Certainly.
Then let us go our separate ways. Natsuhi, you must conduct the family conference splendidly in my absence.
Of course, father. He can't say it in front of them, but my husband is already the Ushiromiya family head, and I will do all I can to ensure that I don't embarrass him as his wife.
Compared to Kraus, who's had a stomachache since this morning, you are so very composed, Natsuhi. My son is quite hopeless.
Yes, he is, but my husband is talented in his own way. Supporting him when he's weak is my duty as his wife.
Indeed. Carry out your task with precision. I will make sure to stay shut away so that I don't get in the way of this farce.
Canon, go with father to the study, and then have Genji prepare some black tea.
I am not so senile that I need your help to stand up.
I doubt that.
Here I go.
Refusing Canon's attempt to lend him a hand, Kinzo rose from the flower bed he had been sitting on. The retired head left...
Flower bed?
Yeah, he's meant to be like a ghost, right?
Oh, true.
The retired head left everything in Natsuhi's hands and returned to the study at a gentle pace.
Oh, sorry. You're looking well. You possess a sense of dignity reminiscent of Kinzo's deceased wife. On the off chance that the magic-resisting toxin does reach father, will the magic dissolve in an instant? Indeed. In the blink of an eye, I can vanish whenever I please. But if someone already dead, such as Kinzo, loses his form, he'll be instantly tossed away like the dust by the winds of the sun. You must take care. Yes, I understand. You may have talent as a witch. The magic-resisting toxin has been building up in your system over the years, and yet you are still able to understand magic. If you and I had met during your youth, you might have become a powerful witch by now. Oh, I am the wife of Ushiromiya Kraus, the family head. I would become even a witch or a demon to protect his honor. I am deeply grateful for the power of your magic. I wouldn't have been able to protect the honor of the Ushiromiya family without you. Let's discuss this another time. I'd like to enjoy it with just the two of us women drinking tea. A friend of mine who went to Sri Lanka sent me some black tea with the wonderful rose fragrance. Oh, you mean dimbula? That isn't bad. Then you should also have patties on the side. You must serve me some as a reward if I manage to trick everyone for this entire family conference. It's a promise. Understood. I promise. Then I'll see you later. Yes, later.
The witch made her body crumble into the rustling winds, became gold flower petals, and scattered into thin air. Natsuhi watched her go, then turned on her heels and headed for the mansion. And then there were none left in the rose garden.
Okay then. It's break time. Got any complaints so far?
None at all. If you have to pee, why not just go and do it? Hey,
What a rude thing to say.
that's my saying.
Kinzo is already dead, right? But he's walking around and talking, isn't he? Doesn't that mean this is magic? Of course, I doubt this move would work on you after all this time, Byrne. But what about you, Battler? Isn't this weird? Don't you have to accept the existence of magic that revived Kinzo?
If you're trying to imitate Beato, it's pissing me off, so stop it right now.
Figured it out. Then come on, how are you going to answer, Battler? Kinzo was just out for a stroll. Why not act like you always do and start holding your head crying, "This makes no sense"? Come on, use that old "it's all useless" catchphrase and then give me one of your classic nonsensical counter-arguments. There's no way a human who's supposed to be dead could be walking around, right? Is this all because of some unknown virus called the Rekenjima syndrome that causes math delusions? Or do the scales of a mysterious form of butterfly that only lives on Rekenjima happen to be hallucinogenic? Or is it all because of a mysterious secret organization called the Mountain Dogs made an as of yet undiscoverable drug called Puru Puru Pico Puru, which causes mass delusions? There's a lot of delusions here. Let me hear tons of this wonderful crap. Kya!
Don't worry.
Just shut up. This isn't even a problem. Grandfather is dead at this point in time. There's no way he exists. The only reason he's able to act like he's alive like this is because of Aunt Nasihi's lie, her attempt to make it through the family conference while hiding grandfather's death.
Oh, it's Natsuhi's lie. You can revive the dead by lying? Wouldn't that make it Natsuhi's magic?
This world is like a brown tube before you've looked into it.
That was a long time ago.
It's the world of the cat box before you open it. As long as Aunt Nasihi says she took a walk with grandfather, as long as no one can confirm that it's a lie, it's possible to display Aunt Nasihi taking a walk in the rose garden with grandfather as Natsuhi's reality. That means it's possible for grandfather to appear.
That was my clap. It should have been. That extremely unflattering applause was coming from Bern Castell.
Bravo.
You're much calmer without Beato around.
Quiet. You shut up too.
Wait a second, Battler. According to your theory, sure, it might really be possible for Kinzo to appear if Natsuki is the only person there. If Natsuki claims to have observed Kinzo in a world with no one except Natsuki in it, then no one can deny it, right? But Kanon was in the same place and he was also looking at Kinzo, right? How would you explain that?
That's no problem at all. Kanon-kun is a servant who works for the Ushiremiya family. Aunt Natsuhi probably ordered him to keep to her story, so that she could hide grandfather's death. Because of that, Kanon can see grandfather, even though he shouldn't exist, just like Aunt Natsuhi can.
Too bad, Lambda. Battler isn't gonna fall for that kind of child's play anymore.
Seems so. Well, this is nothing more than an opening before the games really started. Like an aperitif before a meal.
An appetizer at a bar. Green tea at a sushi restaurant.
Shut up. So, we aren't just gonna get anywhere unless I say it again in blue text, huh?
Looks like it. Would you mind?
The reason grandfather's strolling around like nothing happened, even though he's already dead, is that people who want to make it seem as though he's alive created an illusion of him. People who think the same way can share in that illusion. Then, they'll talk as though grandfather actually exists, and was with them until a second ago. That's why he's strolling around like it's perfectly natural.
Has the blue changed? Looks lighter. Was it darker originally?
Don't think so.
Been so long since we've seen the blue.
Because of this, the illusion of grandfather is unable to appear in front of people who aren't in on this with Aunt Natsuhi. That's why they made up the story of him shutting himself away in his study and refusing to come out. It's kind of hard to read. Maybe it is later. In the games before now, grandfather has always locked himself up in his study. We never met him directly. However, some people said things that made us think he was locked up in his study in a bad mood, such as claiming to have met him only a short while ago. We blindly accepted their statements and believed that grandfather was in the study. That's why it was possible for an illusion of grandfather to exist in the study,
That's right. In the games before now, the only people who met Grandfather were Uncle Kraus, Aunt Natahi, and the servants. Because they all stuck to the same story, an illusion of Grandfather was able to exist on this island, making it seem like he was alive. You even showed us a scene at the beginning of this game, where Aunt Natahi convinced Dr. Najo and the rest to cover up Grandfather's death. I'm not going to fall for a cheap trick like that after all this time.
Well, not bad, but I was hoping for the unknown drug, Pudu Pudu Pico Pudu.
There's no way he'd say something so ridiculous, right? After all, supposing that such a thing exists would be just as bad as surrendering to the fantasy genre.
Wait, is that a real thing?
What?
The Pudu Pudu Piku Puyo? I know I said it wrong earlier. What is that a reference to? It's a reference to something.
I can't remember.
It is a reference though, right?
I'm pretty sure it is. Otherwise it is just something.
But there's also that like Sherlock episode where there was like a drug that caused hallucinations in a certain area. So it can be a thing. We can have a drug. We can have a syndrome.
Whether it's a virus... Oh, that's still you, isn't it? Yeah. Whether it's a virus. No, wait, that is me.
That's
okay.
you.
Whether it's a virus or a drug or an illness, anything that hasn't been discovered yet is in violation of Nox's fourth commandment. What do you mean, fourth commandment? Nox's fourth.
Who's Nox?
It is forbidden for all unknown drugs or difficult to understand scientific devices to be used. The rule states that such things can't be used during a murder. What the hell? Unknown drug X and unknown scientific device X should be the best kinds of weapons to use when fighting against a witch. I think it's Arnold Knox. He wrote like a list of quote rules to use for mystery novels. So.
How old is he?
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, okay.
So. I'm pretty sure he's dead. He's like one of the older authors.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. All of those violate the rules of a proper mystery. Supposing an unknown virus, an unknown drug, an unknown sickness, or an unknown XXX was used, puts it totally in the fantasy genre. My condolences. If that was your theory, then it's game over for you. Hey, what are you talking about? You think you've been fighting in direct opposition to Beato, but that's not actually true. You haven't been in direct opposition. You've been fighting along with her from a slightly different angle. All this playing detective you've done hasn't been fantasy versus mystery. It's only been fantasy versus anti-fantasy. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. But there's one thing I do get. It sounds like you're saying there's something wrong with my fighting style. We're fighting to kill the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch. That means interpreting this tale as a proper mystery. In other words, from the very start, we have to ignore any and all elements that violate the taboos of the mystery genre. Ignore, you say? For example, several closed-room murders have occurred in the games before now, right? Yeah. At every single crime scene, you enthusiastically check with Beato to... At every single crime scene, you enthusiastically check with Beato to make sure there are no hidden doors, right? Then, that leads to a flashy bunch of red truths weaving together all over the place, almost as though that itself is the battle. I call that a waste of time. After all, it's clearly specified in Nox's Third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. In the mystery genre, hidden passages mustn't exist. So, if you want to interpret everything as a proper mystery, entering this whole debate over whether there are hidden doors or not means you've lost from the beginning, see? After all, there aren't any. As soon as you suspect that they might exist, it's already game over for you. In other words, you assume you can't start theory building, just because no one's yet proven that hidden doors don't exist at the crime scene. That's why I call you naive and a failure at the mystery genre. You've already lost once you start thinking that. You thought you were waging a fight to interpret everything like a mystery novel, right? Then you've got to follow the conventions of the mystery genre. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Hidden doors must not exist at any of the crime scenes. That means any time spent asking whether they exist or not is wasted.
I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard it somewhere. Is this like the 10 basic rules for mystery novels or something?
Yeah, that's right. They're the 10 witches for drilling witches brandished by Nox, the peerless archbishop of witch hunting. Those are the true weapons with which to fight and defeat the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch head on. It's just like you, Baron. To bring in such a troublesome weapon. That's the fantasy genre's arch enemy.
Yeah, I think it's Ronald Knox. It's Arnold or Ronald? I always get it mixed up.
There's two people?
It's... Yeah, don't worry.
So, you'll deny the existence of hidden doors right from the start, even without even investigating the crime scene. That sounds more like fantasy to me.
Lambda, who's in charge of the witches' side? Oh, Lambda, who's... Do it again. Lambda, who's in charge of the witches' side, is fantasy. I'm the one who's fighting her, mystery. What are you? You're just barely anti-fantasy, doing nothing but dodging over and over and denying fantasy. You're opposed to absolutely everything, but you can't make any counter-proposals. You're like a politician from some country.
Shut up. I didn't come here to speak gibberish with you two. Continue the story right now.
Be quiet. That sleeping princess behind you looks like she's in a pain, doesn't she?
When he turned around, he saw Beato's living corpse resting in a chair. However, sweat glistened all over her body, and it felt like she was breathing a little harder than normal. She looked as though she was suffering from a high fever.
Beato, what's wrong? Are you okay?
What do you mean, is she okay? You sure do say some weird things, I agree. Aren't you fighting to kill this girl? We've rewound this 5th game for your benefit. But right now, Byrne has done a good job cornering her opponent and is about to break through the illusion of the witch. Her existence has almost been completely denied. It's only natural that she's suffering.
Just now, even you smashed the illusion of the witch by saying there's no way Kinzo exists. Here's the proof that your attack reached Beato. This agony of hers.
I tried to at least wipe away the sweat on Beato's forehead with a handkerchief. It's true I promised Beato that I'd let her die, but it was supposed to happen peacefully. I wasn't planning to make her suffer first. My goal isn't to make the sleeping Beato suffer like this before killing her. As if they had seen right through to my mixed feelings, the two witches grinned.
That fly is really annoying. Ah! You're gonna have to do like a little fly buzzing around in circles.
Dad only overheard because you kept yelling about the inheritance, right, Aniki?
Oh, it's been so long. It isn't my fault. It was just an unlucky coincidence, okay? He just happened to be in the corridor and heard. It was an accident, I tell you, an accident!
Could you give it a rest? Just call it our bad luck this time and give it up. If you leave a man alone, his mood will pop right back to normal.
Hopefully Father's feelings won't hurt so much that he writes up some strange will.
The relatives took a deep breath and fell silent. Hey, you can't jump around either, Maria. What'll you do if Anji-chan falls?
What?
This is the year before. She wasn't sick then.
Okay.
Sorry to keep you waiting. The boat is ready.
Wait, do we see a baby Anji?
No.
Oh, that would have been so cute.
Okay, let's go. Won't get anywhere by complaining now.
We eagerly await your return to this island.
I have to say, I do like this part of the soundtrack, like the fluttering strings. I like it.
You don't like the dubsteppy murderous tracks?
I feel like we hear more of that than we do the fluttering strings. So
No, I'd say the opposite. Because those scenes only last for so long.
no, not all. Just the bits where it's like like the flutter.
You mean specifically like strings?
Just the bit where it's like.
I don't know. I can't really think of any tracks off the top of my head.
It was playing just before.
Apart from this... Yeah. Anyway. Natsuhi was sitting on a bench in the rose garden, looking completely worn out. However, when she noticed that Kanon and Kumasawa were coming back, she immediately sat up straight, regaining the dignity of the head's wife.
Oh, that's right, that's me. Did the boat leave?
Yes, it departed just a minute ago.
I see. Good job seeing them off. What is my husband doing?
He invested in Doge again.
I can see them doing something like that.
He returned to his room a short while ago. He is resting.
Since the previous day, Kraus had been almost overwhelmed by anxiety over the thought that Kinzo's death might be discovered. When the family conference ended, his weariness must have suddenly gotten a hold of him.
Not as he's killed him off because he was too annoying. Just like, you said half a year!
Actually, Kraus is dead as well. He's just like, she's like,
She's
told the servants, like, Kraus is just sleeping in his room.
Just killed them all off.
This is Jedi. However, the way he had refused to let even a sliver of his true intentions slip out, and the manner in which he had managed to act as though everything was normal, showed that Kraus's nerve was nothing to sneeze at.
How was it? Did they seem to notice anything suspicious about father? Not at all. Over summer, the rest were having a big ruckus over how the master overheard them talking about the inheritance, right? Wasn't their panicking just priceless?
Yes, they were quite shaken up.
But Kumasawa, you really are quite an actress. The way you acted all panicked in the corridor made it seem like father really was there.
Kumasawa's son is quite talented at that sort of thing.
Oh, come now, I don't deserve such praise. I always have to... Oh my God.
Who's that? New character. That's the Natsuhi and Kumasawa fusion dance.
I almost went southern. I don't know where that came from. No, Natsuhi is like, woohoo! I always have to give Genji strict orders not to easily swallow your stories when you call in sick. Oh, it's really good fucking book. No, that's just too harsh, madam. You really did a good job, both of you, as well as Genji and Sharon. We'll get your pay for a month's worth of past vacation time, as well as 5 extra days, just as promised. Consider this as a confidential benefit. Talk with Genji. Oh no! Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Talk with Genji when you collect your pay so that the other servants don't find out. Sure, we understand, right?
This is the most scuffed, like... Episode 5 has just been nothing but... scuffed. That's the one word to describe. It's just a mess everywhere.
I'm not used to switching between these particular voice combinations. They're awful.
Yeah.
It's Natsuki, you're stuffing everything up. What is with Kumasawa's face right now?
She's the cheeky mackerel lady.
She's literally that emoji with like the side eyes and like and the half smile. Oh dear.
Anyway.
Kumasawa-san, your voice is too loud.
Oh, not good, not good.
Maybe I should take Kumasawa.
hang on. Let me find my
No, it's not gonna work.
No.
As soon as you start reading, one of us is gonna laugh. Doesn't matter how well you do the voice. Someone's gonna laugh.
What's the old lady Yubaba? What do I do?
you
Like
squashed
squashed it. Oh no!
I told you, I'll just
Alright, you take on Kumasawa-san. I love Kumasawa though. Do you want to do Natsuki instead?
Oh, I can try not to then.
Okay. Oh, not good, not good.
Good point. I kind of like that.
No, it's good,
Let's leave it at that for the time being. I'm gonna put it up. There's a specific character from Spyro 3. I'm trying to do that kind of voice.
Oh, yeah.
That secret agent guy.
Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Oh, there's Romeo. You can have this. I don't need it anymore.
We should all return to our regular duties. That's right. I've had Goda prepare some special tea. Tell him to serve it.
Oh, man.
Okay, back to the serious monotone narration. Natsuki let them know she wanted to be left alone for a while, so she could drink some black tea, and then in the rose garden. The black tea that had been carried all the way to the bench was the Sri Lankan tea, Dimbula. Is it Dimbula or Dimbula?
Both sound okay. I'm not too sure on Sri
Dimbala.
Lankan pronunciation.
That she had promised Beate, along with some patties. Sitting on either side of this snack, staring at it curiously, the wife of the head and her witch could be seen. Yeah, I think you can go back now, because Kumasawa's gone.
Oh, seriously? So, this is patties. I just assumed it would be some kind of baked sweet.
Apparently, Natsuki, not realizing that it had a curry-like spicy flavor, had started choking after putting it in her mouth. To describe it in Japanese terms, it was like fried dumplings stuffed with mashed curry-flavored potatoes.
It was like a curry puff.
Curry puff, yeah. As a household dish, it would probably be pretty popular with the kids. However, it was something of a shock to Natsuki, who expected that a treat to go with tea would be sweet.
True. Didn't you know? Dimbula has always goes with this. Black tea always goes with cookies. Oh, but chocolate is good too. You must have sweet peat and jelly with Japanese tea, although salted kombu also works. Chinese tea goes with Chinese dumplings, though I like mooncakes too. Oh, I'm surprised. You know a lot about various cultures, don't you? Well, I haven't been living in 1,000 years for nothing. I've tried refined teas from all over the world. Perhaps you could call it a journey through the world of tea. That does sound like it would be a wonderful way to travel the world. Before today, I never knew that one could enjoy tea like this. I will treasure this experience. I cannot leave Rokenjiba. This is the only way I can travel. What about you? I'm sure you've elegantly traveled the world like any wealthy wife might. Before Jessica was born, my husband took me to many countries. Before marrying, I never once traveled overseas, so each time was a fresh and new experience. Sounds like you were also born into a very rigid family. It was strict, but they gave me a wonderful upbringing. It would be rude to my father and mother to call that rigid. That's a pretty eloquent way to call it rigid.
Kraus might have pitied Natsuhi, or he might have wanted to take her away from the rigid Ushiromiya family for a little bit and let her rest. Or he might simply have wanted to take his wife around countries he knew well, to show off everything he knew.
Unlike father, my husband is fond of Asian nations. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Thailand. I think we also went to Malaysia. That Kraus. Was he trying to rebel against Kinzo's Western tastes? But Asia is good too. After all, the Japanese are strongly influenced by the West. When they think of foreign countries, only Western ones comes to mind. But you mustn't forget the East. I myself knew a few things about the West, but I knew very little about the East. I seem to recall my husband making fun of me now and then during our travels.
Beato subtly peered into Natsuhi's heart as the latter grumbled that the trips had all been very tiring.
Are you listening? This is called an areca nut. It's a popular luxury food item from around here.
It looks like a small, round... is it gourd? Like nut that had been smashed,
Yeah.
with cucumber wedged in it. At a glance, it looked as though it would probably taste like pickles.
I see. So I just bite it here?
As she tried to bite the one her husband was holding, he suddenly moved it away. It felt kind of embarrassing, like she was a fish after some bait.
Whoa, wait up. You have to eat it a certain way. Yes, you are supposed to bite it. Bite it. Chew it. But don't swallow it.
Oh? Even though you bite and chew it, you can't swallow it?
Yes. Bite and chew. Don't swallow. And don't drink the juice. It'll make your stomach hurt.
I don't understand. Why would you eat something like that?
Think of it as something like gum. Chew it and enjoy the flavor. Then take the scraps you've bitten and the juice and spit it out into a paper cup like this.
Dear! The inside of your mouth is bright red. Wipe it off, wipe it off. Eek!
Even her favourite handkerchief, which she had wiped Kraus's mouth with, had bright red marks on it. Something that's poisonous if eaten or drunk, and it makes the inside of your mouth go so... I can't talk. Inside of your mouth so bright red, and having to spit something out after you've put it in your mouth. How indecent. Thinking this, Natsuhi adamantly refused Kraus's invitation.
No way, I don't need any.
This is a cross-cultural experience. What's the point of traveling if we don't do things that can only be done here?
Kraus kept chewing, ignoring the fact that even his lips were being coloured bright red.
Father likes these too. He must have ordered them long ago, because he used to chew away at them on the mansion's terrace. Although, it seemed he stopped ever since you arrived. Look here, Father, the person you respect even more than me enjoyed these all the time. Look, don't be shy, take some.
No, stop it, dear.
During travel, Kraus had the innocence of a child. He didn't even conceal his jealousy of the respect Natsuhi normally gave Kinzo. Just being able to see that side of her husband made travelling all the way to another country worthwhile. Kraus urged her even harder to bite it, but Natsuhi, undaunted, ran from place to place and finally yelled that he was being too pushy. Kraus was miffed the whole bus ride. What a child, to let a little thing like this get him down, Natsuhi thought exasperatedly. Then a native tour guide in the bus took out one of those areca nuts and started explaining about it. It had apparently been a beloved luxury item in these parts since ancient times, similar to tobacco. Just like in Natsuhi's case, it was starting to be disliked by young people and was becoming obsolete. Furthermore, it was treated as a good luck charm in this area, and was known as a symbol for couples. She looked at her husband's face. He turned away abruptly, but it looked like his cheeks had gotten a little red.
So, you then leaned on your husband and held his hand, did you? What the heck, you and your husband share pretty pure love, don't you? Did you get all fired up, like that night?
Red-faced and avoiding Beato's eye, Natsuhi tried to hide her embarrassment by swallowing the patties whole, chewing with her cheeks puffed out like a blowfish. Beato said,
Yep, this is the best snack anyone could have with tea.
And nodded several times, a broad smile on her face.
Oh, however, that's only how it was when we were newlyweds. Right now I cannot even leave Rukenjima. I am a bird in a cage. Well, it's the same for me. I can keep dying, but I just can't escape Rukenjima. I'm also a bird in a cage. I don't know much who is this?
Natsuhi.
I don't know much about you, and I won't pry. However, I do see that you face circumstances not to be taken lightly. I have no desire to act like the chief prisoner here. Let's be friendly as fellow birds in this cage. I've taken a liking to you. Oh, really? Thank you. The instructions and orders you gave the servants for this family conference were superb. You took everything from where Kinzo would be and when, what he did and what he left behind, and put it all together splendidly without any contradictions. That detailed written plan of yours has the same beauty as a high-level magic circle.
To make it look like Kinzo actually existed and was living life his own way, she had written his schedule for the day, down to the finest detail, and made the servants follow it to the letter. When did he meet, whom, and where, and what did he leave them? When did he do what and where, and what changed? As a result, even though the relatives never saw Kinzo even once, they hadn't suspected in the slightest that he hadn't been there. Ava and the rest truly believed that Kinzo had just happened to be walking through the hall when he heard them talking about the inheritance, and went into a rage. Everything had gone just as Natsuhi's plan had predicted, down to the finest detail. Why did I say plan? And the cooperation by the servants had also worked smoothly, down to the finest detail.
We have to stop this secret from getting out, no matter the cost. That's why I double-checked the plan thoroughly. Your willpower and attention to detail summon success with certainty. As a witch, it seems that you're in Lady Lambda-Denta's camp. At your current level, as soon as you become self-aware of that as magic, you will be worthy of calling yourself a witch apprentice. Oh dear. If you call something like that magic, then that would make Kumasawa the witch of feigned illnesses. It's only on busy days that she calls us to say she's taking the day off because of her bad back. Like every year's family conference, for example. Oh no, you've got Kumasawa completely wrong there. She's a witch of much, much higher level. If you knew what she really was, it'd shock you. Virgilia.
Watching these two have their pleasant chat was another pair with steam rising from their black tea. However, this second pair was in a world that the first couldn't see, where golden roses bloomed. Ronave was kind enough to make us some of that Dimbula tea too. It felt as though Beato muttered something. For the first time it felt as though something had gotten through to her. Surely she had taken an interest in the black tea and felt like drinking it. Thinking this, Butler took Beato's cup and her hand, making her hold the cup. Beato's eyes trembled sadly, and her fingers shook, almost as though she couldn't even move her fingers as she wanted to, and was mourning the fact that she could no longer enjoy the tea she had once loved by her own power. That's how she looked. So Butler put his hand on Beato's, grabbed hold of the teacup, and lifted it to her lips.
Burned.
Then, though it was only a single mouthful Beato sipped. The days they had been locked in a killing fest with red swords and blue wedges already seemed like the distant past. Now, not only was Beato unable to do that, it was even difficult for her to make her body do as she pleased. Even just drinking a mouthful of black tea like this was hard. How is it? That rose aroma makes for a great black tea. Do you like it? Of course, Beato didn't respond. What happened to you? Is this another strategy? Are you pretending to be in a slump so you can shock me later? If that's what you're after, the same trick won't work again, so give it a rest. I can't get fired up with you like this. Hey, isn't it about time for you to start laughing loudly, saying, "Caught you, dumbass," or something? Any kind of joke stops being funny if you drag it out too much, especially if it's a rehash. Laugh, just like you're cackling over there as you drink with Aunt Natsuhi. Can't you at least grin? I believe Virgilia?
Virgilia? Yeah.
Never again. This child will never laugh again.
Those sudden words were exceedingly cruel. That was Bern. How can you say that for sure? Don't you try and take Beato's right to laugh away from her. Oh, should I say it in red then? I shook my head furiously. Then, with an expression that didn't reveal her thoughts in the slightest, Bern Castell spoke while looking at Beato's face. And the word she used was completely incomprehensible to me. Congratulations. For what? Beato is like this as a result of your victory. What are you talking about? You said something interesting in a previous game. You said this would be torture where you both torment each other. That was right. It's torture for Beato as well. And you won that torture game. That's why Beato's soul was killed. Why she became a doll-like corpse. Are you saying I did this to Beato? The battle ends when one of you loses the will to try and win. As far as the battle between you and Beato goes, that was already concluded in the previous game. Well, it probably happened without you noticing, though. In that case, why hasn't the game ended, if I've already won? Why is this game still continuing? The shackle attached to that girl's ankle. That's a rule Lambda made. Even if Beatrice tries to yield or gets discouraged, or gives up, she isn't capable of stepping down from the game. That's the rule. Or maybe it's a curse. In the past, I supported you when it looked like you were going to give in. Though you probably couldn't perceive it, I assisted you by giving you hints and making things go your way. That's why you're able to be here now. Remember? Remember how I saved you? Berncastel stared at me. It's true I wasn't aware of it, but just maybe, I was saved by her. In the same way, Lambda is supporting Beato. And this time, Beato is on the verge of giving in. That's why Lambda's been giving her support this round, to keep her from giving in. That's what the shackle is. By refusing to let her resign, she's rescued Beato within the game. Rescued her from what? Normally, there are only two ways for this game to end. Either one side will accept defeat and resign, or one side will win the game with the checkmate. Beato was about to collide with the first way. That's why Lambda crushed that chance, and managed to just barely avoid losing. By the rules of this game, that's an impressive bit of support. So the only way this game can end now is if I win. At the very least, until I do win, this witch called Lambda Delta can probably try to buy time for Beato to make a comeback. But that'll just prolong Beato's suffering even more. Neither of us want that. Both Beato and I fought with all we had, trying to win. The game repeated several times because we were both giving it everything we could muster. Then, that one time, we confronted each other head-on with all of our strength, and Beato acknowledged her loss. She said she wanted me to end this game, and entrusted everything to me. So, Bern Castell's words are the truth. She said it's my fault Beato is becoming a living corpse. That's true. But it's something both of us wanted. Our match has already been resolved. Even so, the game won't end. That's why Beato put her trust in me. She told me to win quickly and end this game. Now that the game's been resolved, letting it continue any further means endless torture for Beato. Nothing more than a nightmare. I've got to give her a perfect checkmate, end this game in the truest sense, and let her rest in peace. For that reason, I'll keep fighting. But by continuing the game, Beato's eternal torture will continue. It felt as though I could only let her sleep peacefully by slowly strangling her to death. I'm starting to feel like the truth doesn't matter anymore. As long as Beato is satisfied, who cares what happens in this game? Beato resigned. I'll abandon the truth of the illusion of the witch and return home with my family. Is there anything wrong with that? If only Lambda hadn't placed the curse of that shackle on her, this battle would be over already. That's why I found it detestable. This game, which I can't finish without tormenting Beato more, is detestable. What's this? Beato's starting to look like she's in pain every time you get closer to the truth. So you're suddenly going easy on her? Then go ahead, or then go easy on her as much as you can. And why don't you just let Beato win while you're at it? Then your little sister can have a lonely, tragic future forced on her endlessly. That's not how it is. That's right. I have to return for Anji's sake as well. I know this isn't the time to start feeling compassion for Beato. In that case, make sure you kill her. Kill this witch without fail. Even though Beato was right there, Bern Castell spoke without holding back. Your goal is to kill this woman. In the last game, you said it at Beato's request. You said, "I'll kill you." Yeah, that may be true, but that doesn't mean you get to complain about it. Did you know? When you tear one of your fingernails out, it's better to do it in one go. Pulling it out like you do, timidly, twisting and slow, hurts much, much more.
Is that a Higurashi reference?
Probably. What you're doing sounds much more like torture to me. If you have any compassion, kill her all at once. That's how killing works. Oh, that's none of your business. I'm the one who gets to decide how to perform her last rites. You and that Lambda Delta witch have nothing to do with this. I'll kill her. I won't let anyone else do it. As long as you don't lose that willpower, I'm betting on you. Okay? Make sure you don't forget. Unless this game is resolved, you will never be released. You won't be allowed to abandon this game either.
Does that mean he's getting a shackle too?
Well, he's basically already shackled.
True.
I get it. I know what Lambda's after. She wants to make you lose your will to fight, just like Beato. To make you a pair of living dolls to keep this world in perpetual equilibrium. You don't want that, do you? I wouldn't like it either. Why should I give a damn about what you want? Still, I won't throw this game away. I won't abandon my responsibility to fight against Beato. I'm glad our goals are the same. So, you'll be able to kill this child without any hesitation, right? That's right. I have no way of knowing whether those words eased her pain or hurt her, but I can tell by the dull tingling in my chest that I surely believe I've hurt her. I have no way of knowing what the silent Beato feels. If I think I've hurt her, does that mean she's actually been hurt? And if I didn't think I'd hurt her, would that mean no one's gotten hurt because of me? So, about that Beato who's drinking tea over there with Natsuhi. You can handle that, right?
Yeah, no problem.
It's the same as it was with Kinzo. Beatrice doesn't exist. This is a fake illusion of a witch that Natsuhi created, since she believes she was borrowing a witch's power when she thought up a brilliant plan to overcome hardship. It only looks like they're drinking together because Lambda Delta, who's the game master and the one telling the story, interpreted it that way. If you could stare at this scene without a fragment of love for Natsuhi, you wouldn't see an illusion like that. That's why, with my eyes, all I can see is Natsuhi all alone, drinking her tea in silence. Without love, it cannot be seen. Because love is lacking, it cannot be seen. You're looking at a daydream Natsuhi's showing us. Beatrice doesn't exist there.
Probably Beato. Beato mumbled softly. It was a small voice that made it sound like she was in pain. The thorn of Berncastell's truth had stabbed into her chest. Yeah, that's probably true. I think your theory's right. But don't say that in front of Beato.
It doesn't matter where I say it. This is Beato's world we're in.
Also, it's not like I'm protecting Beato, but it's still possible Aunt Natsuhi really is drinking tea with some unknown person X, who calls himself Beatrice. This scene takes place a year before everything. The number of people on the island on this day has never been shown with the red truth.
That's true.
Sure. Even Lambda hasn't said anything in red about the number of people on Rekenjimu on this day.
In that case, it's possible for Aunt Natsuhi to claim that she really did drink tea with a woman calling herself Beatrice. Just like I can't deny your theory, you can't deny mine. That means you can't say for sure whether the Beato there is an illusion or not.
Oh, is this catbox theory? That might have worked on Beato, but it won't work on me.
Why not?
After all, Natsuhi is drinking tea all by herself right there.
There was a violent sound of glass breaking, and the Beato who laughed happily and cracked jokes about Natsuhi's newlywed years was erased. A lonely wind blew, and the one person who remained on the bench drinking tea with a tired expression was Aunt Natsuhi all by herself. Beato groaned. I could see clearly that she was in anguish. Another illusion of the witch had been smashed, drawing Beato towards death. In short, this is what the battle to let Beato rest in peace is all about. A second ago, Berncastel likened our fight to the torture of tearing fingernails out. If I have to tear them out anyway, then my last bit of compassion towards Beato should be to minimize that pain. In other words, even if I want to minimize her pain, I still have to cause it. I have to accept that look of anguish on her face. And at the same time, I realized what a merciless thing the red truth was. Right now, in this rose garden, there's no one except Aunt Natsuhi. In other words, there are no observers except for Aunt Natsuhi. So, if that lone observer were to say that she'd had some tea with Beato, no one should be able to refute that. If there's something no one can deny, doesn't that mean it's truth? Aunt Natsuhi is enjoying the roses and drinking tea together with Beato. How could anyone have the right to mercilessly trample that pleasant moment? The red truth is like a blade. In a battle with a witch, it's a blade that sometimes tears your theories apart, but sometimes becomes a weapon you can fight back with.
I know. So what?
Don't use it without reason. A blade is a tool if you use it when you're supposed to, but it's a weapon if you use it out of malice. True enough, Aunt Natsuhi wasn't really drinking tea with a witch. However, saying that with the red truth probably has nothing to do with our game. Our game is the tale of October 1986. The 2 days of the crime give us more than enough time to injure each other, with our red and blue blades glistening. This isn't about the illusion of the witch, it's about Aunt Natsuhi's privacy. How could anyone have the right to expose that?
Do you want to acknowledge that a witch actually existed here and drank tea with Natsuhi? Weren't you trying to deny the existence of witches?
That's right. If we're talking about our game, the 2-day period from October 4th to October 5th in 1986. But I have no desire to question whether or not witches exist outside that game board. In the first place, the devil's proof argument makes it impossible to deny the existence of witches. And, according to the rules of this game, saying something like what you did and read is a forbidden move that leads to a stalemate. You can't deny the existence of witches, not even with the red truth.
True. I never thought I'd hear you talk so glibly about witches existing. Not bad, Lambda. You've done a good job getting Battler stuck between his human culprit theory and the idea that witches existing wouldn't be so bad. She really excels at controlling human hearts. Looks like I'd better start helping you out even more.
I really couldn't care less about you two. Disappear. This game is between Beato and me. We're going to keep this game to ourselves.
No way.
What?
After all, I'm enjoying this game too.
Bern Castell disappeared, leaving only that unpleasant laugh behind. After that, all that remained was Natsuhi, sipping tea all alone. Beato, her hand still on the teacup as she stared blankly at the surface of the liquid. And me. Bern Castell and Lambda Delta. Virgilia called them your friends, but you really should choose your friends more carefully. Oh, wait. Maybe they actually make a good match with an ill-natured person like you. Beato didn't answer. Battler took Beato's hand, made her hold the cup again, and brought it to her lips. Beato made a quiet sound in her throat and drank another gulp. Then, Natsuhi's lonely tea time ended. That truth, which was Natsuhi's alone and observed by no one else, had been defiled. In Natsuhi's world, surely. That tea party, which had been peaceful despite her annoyance at Beato for making fun of her too much, came to an end, and the two of them parted ways. However, in Natsuhi's exposed truth, she was all alone. Natsuhi tottered away. On the bench, only a single person's cup remained.
GG.
Interesting.
You are following, right?
I think so.
They explicitly explained what they were talking about. Can you reiterate it to me then?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, what just happened?
I don't even know where to start.
So we have Natsuhi in her tea party with Beatrice and... Oh, it's just Beatrice.
Yeah, just Beatrice. I thought Cannon was there for some reason.
Cannon was there, and Kumasawa, and then she told them to go off, and then she had a little
tea party with Beatrice.
Yeah. A little celebration of the victory.
And then Berncastle refuted the fact that Beatrice was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Battler said you shouldn't do that because it's not the date, it's like a year or so before. No, it was the conference, wasn't it?
It was a conference.
But it wasn't the conference that they're playing in. Yeah.
Like what you said was right.
Yeah.
Just different wording. It's like it's kind of like with Maria and stuff. You feel?
What do you mean?
How Maria has like Saktaro and everything. And it's like if this little girl says she has this lion friend she plays with, then who's to stop her and deny that? And then Bern is just like, nah, get wrecked, scrubs.
Oh, Tom,
My
big
sneeze
sneeze.
cat.